Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Firstly, to all brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, we grew up at a time that our children never grew up. We grew up at a time that our children never grew up. We must understand that our children and us are from two different times. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, he said, bring your children up for a time that is other than your time. Now there's a great hikmah, there's a great wisdom in this. The wisdom in this is that if you and me start to think, when I was small, this happened, when I was small, we couldn't do this, when I was young, we used to get slapped if we ever asked a question, this would happen, and when I was young, we never had all these toys, when I was young, we never had all these luxuries, and you kids, you have all of this, which is true. They have all the luxuries, they have all the pleasure, they have all the love and so on, but yet they don't react or they don't be like the way we used to be. Okay? When we were small, a lot of us, we had our parents and so on give us less, but somehow when we grew up, we became, alhamdulillah, most of us are good human beings that have grown up. Now, what I want to say to you is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he said, "Anzilun nas manazilahum." Anzilun nas manazilahum. He said, put people in their levels. And he said in a separate statement, he says, Kallimun nas qadra uqulihim. He said, speak to people according to their level of understanding. So what this means is that there's a viewpoint that we have, there's a viewpoint that these children have. We have to understand that these children that have been born and brought up here, they have been brought up in a very different society and community than us. They don't hear the adhan 5 times a day, like you might have heard in some of the countries you were born in. They don't listen to the Islamic lectures that are being pumped out on the speakers out there at night time, throughout the night in some of these countries we're from. They don't see Muslims dressed in this kind of clothing, walking outside, and many sisters maybe in hijab and so on, and all the countries saying assalamu alaikum and moving around with greetings of salam and greetings of Islam. They don't see this. They see a very different world out here. And as they grow, they become the product of their age. They don't become the product of our age. So we grew up without smartphones. We grew up without even phones in our hands. They are born playing the tablet at the age of 2 or 3. They are born into the world of technology. It's a very different world. We grew up in a world where there was no internet. They cannot live without internet. Without internet seems like, the days when you probably have the world without cars. Right? Seriously, the way we would see the world without cars, they see the world without cars if it was without internet. That's how they would visualize the planet Earth. I mean, they can't imagine how we lived. I mean, before, when you had to go and call someone, first there was the telephones, okay? But even, if you were lucky to have a telephone in your house, installed in the 70s, in the 80s, okay? And if you wanted to go and call someone, you walked up to his door, you went all the way there, you knocked on his door, and then you found out that he's not inside. So you left a message with his wife or with his brother, so said that when he's back, just tell him to come to my yard. Tell him to come to my place, okay? And that's how life was. We have now a world that is moving very, very fast. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, a lot of us have embedded a culture in us which is from Egypt, from Somalia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, wherever it might be, Peshawar, wherever it might be, you're from Yemen, you've got a culture of your own. And yes, culture is something which you can pass down to your children, but the culture does get mixed up when your children are not from that region you were born in. So if you're from a very, very sort of, a very strong Egyptian background, let's say, or a strong Pakistani background, And the thing that you do is that you pass down the language to your children. Yes, they'll take the language, they'll take the behaviors, they'll take some of these things in. But don't forget, they're mixing in the British culture into their lives. Now what happens is, as they're growing up, we keep on staying in the mode of our lives and we don't relate to them from their lives. If we don't keep up with them, then we will lose them, or more or less they will decide to lose us. They will make a decision to lose us. Now I'm not saying that you give in. There's a balance that's supposed to be, that you have to have here. If you say, well, now I'm going to give in to my child, I'm going to now give him or her what they want, what they're asking for, then it's going to go in one direction. You're going to have certain problems that you will run into. If you go to the other extreme where you say, no, I want everything according to my culture, my understanding, I say, you do, I'm in charge here, then you're going to run into another problem. There's a balance here. The balance is that you have to compromise. We have to compromise certain things, and they have to compromise certain things. We have to steer them through this this ocean that they are about to travel on, but you cannot gear them with everything in life. You can't give them everything you want. You can't protect them from every fitna and everything that is out there. You can't do that. The only thing you can do is you can give them certain qualities with which they can be better decision makers. You can talk to them and reach out to them, reach out to their own logic and make them think better than what their peers and what their colleagues are saying. So let me tell you a story and you'll understand. There was a king, and the king said that, he told his servants that wherever I walk, I want to walk without touching any dirt on my feet. So the king would walk barefoot. He would walk in this direction one day. They would make sure that is super clean, that pathway is super clean. Next day he wants to walk in that direction. They make sure that that pathway is super clean. And every day the servants are getting up, asking the king, which direction are you going to walk in? And he would tell them which direction, and they would make that super clean so that his feet would walk on the ground without having a speck of dust that touches his feet. Then one day his wise minister told him, he said, King, we're getting a bit tired, I've got an idea. He said, what? He said, better than us 20 people cleaning all the pathways that you want, or 50 people cleaning the pathway that you're going to take. It's better that we just give you a pair of shoes. Right? If you wear a pair of shoes, then you can go walk whichever direction you want. Your shoes will be the thing that will get dirty, but you will be clean by the end of the day. You just take your shoes off. So the king thought, well, what a clever idea that is. What a clever idea. Now the point of the story is that instead of trying to say, oh my God, my kid's going to go to this fitna, oh my God, there's kufr here, oh my God, there's this here, oh my God, there's a TV screen here, oh my God, the judge's going to get in his eyes. And my kid's going to go, bad here. My kid's seeing, teenage girls outside there. What's my kid going to do? What am I supposed? How am I going to save my kid here? How am I going to save my kid here? Instead of that, my friend, you're just like that king that wants to walk barefoot and have everything clean for him. No. Instead of that, what you do is you give your child taqwa. You give them taqwa. Once the child has its own way of deflecting and our own way of being able to defend itself from the fitan, from the different tribulations, from the sins. Once the child has a fear of God, once the child has a sense of the akhirah, once the child has a sense of afterlife, then you're in a much better position to let the child go. And yes, the child is going to make mistakes. Who hasn't made mistakes? Let me ask you one thing. Look, let's do a quick test here. If there's any person here, sitting here right now, who's never made several mistakes in their life, then please put your hands up. There's absolutely, look, you can look around if you want. There's nobody. Nobody can put their hand up right now. Even I can't put my hand up. What happens is when you make a mistake, those are the best lessons you learn in history. The best lessons you've ever learned in your life are probably the worst mistakes that you ever made in your life. Unfortunately, that's how humans are, and that's how humans operate, and that's a mechanism Allah's put inside them, because when you make that big mistake, there's a big guilt that comes with it, there's a big embarrassment, there's a big shame, and you have to suffer for a little while, and then you readjust yourself, and you say that I'm never going to do that ever again, and that's only because you made that big mistake. Your children, my children, are going to make big mistakes in their life, like we did, like our papas did, like our grandpapas did, like the rest of the world did, okay? Even right up to our great-great-grandfather, Adam alayhi salam, only came to this world because he made a mistake. Yes or no? Guys, yes or no? Yes. He made a mistake, and it was a mistake. He sought forgiveness, but because of the mistake, he ended up in this world. And that's how we got to this world. The reason why we're here is because of a mistake. So we are going to make mistakes. But the Prophet ﷺ said that he said kullu bani Adam. He said every single son of Adam, khatta'un. He said all of them making many mistakes. Khatta'un is from an exaggerated form. It's mubalagha in Arabic. They're making many mistakes. Wa khayrul khatta'in at-tawwabun. And the best of those who make mistakes are those who return back to where they should return, who learn from their mistakes. Now, there's a specific thing that I want to tell you. We need to keep up with our children. Number one, your children need to go, doesn't matter which school they go in. A lot of people ask me the question, they say that, in terms of our school, where should we send them? Should we send them to the normal school here? Should we send them to Islamic school, whatever? There's always a give and take. No place is 100% perfect. I'll tell you this now, no place is 100% perfect. Some of the Islamic schools that you've got out there, they might be good in terms of the salah, in terms of the Ramadan timetable, in terms of some lessons that they give. But we have to be honest, some of them have got very poor English, very poor sort of educational skills amongst the teachers, because they can't afford those teachers that are good, because they have little funds, they're always asking for charity, and because of that they end up with some of the, I'm not saying all of the schools are like that, but some of the schools are like that. Some of the schools you'll find that the Islamic schools are saying they might have the hifz and so on, but they concentrate so much in the hifz and so much in memorizing the Quran that you've got a large portion of the development of this child and his own character that has not been developed at all. His akhlaq, his morals in life, none of that has been developed. He's sat there, he's memorized 30 juz of the Quran, and he's really, he's memorized it from cover to cover. But what he hasn't been through is he hasn't been molded into a good Muslim. And I'm not saying every half is like that. I'm not saying every place is like that, but you have to, there's always a give and take. Of course, when you go to the normal schools, you're going to say, well, there's girls there, there's boys there, there's the intermixing there, there might be, doing all sorts of things that are haram and so on. That's true, but I tell you that's true, that's a bad thing. But I tell you another thing that happens. When children sometimes go to the normal state schools, I'm not telling you all to send them to state schools and not send them to Islamic schools. I'm not saying that. Just listen to me carefully. I'm saying there's pros and cons on both sides. Sometimes when children go to the normal schools, their immune system, their immune system becomes very strong. It's like you're living in a cold country, that cold air doesn't affect us as bad because we're born into it, or we're used to it. You bring someone straight from a tropical country straight over here, they're going to feel freezing. Their bones are going to freeze. I remember one guy came from Bangladesh just recently, about 3 years ago, from Bangladesh. First time he came here, got married to a girl over here. I said to him, hey, how is it, man? After a little while, I said to him, hey, how is it? He said, Hasan, bhai, he said, this place gets you sick, huh? I said, after a little while, I said to him, how is it? He said, I hate this place. After a little while, I said to him, how is it? He said, this place is like a hospital, man. It's just, you feel sick here. I said, how is it after a while? He says, it's freezing cold. I said, how is it after a little while? I said to him, he said, it's like a graveyard. I don't want to stay here. I want to go back. Because those people are not used to it. What I'm trying to say is that the children who are growing up, their immune system will become stronger. We know when they've always got kufr in front of them, fitna in front of them, and so on. One of the good things is, you have to look at it in a balanced way. One of the good things is, they've seen so much of it, they've been introduced to it, they've had some of it go inside, then their iman has vomited it out. That's when they become strong. It's like when you have antibiotics, your system gets worse and then it becomes better, it becomes stronger because your body fights back. And some of the places where people have been cocooned, and it's like, no, stay away from this fitna, stay away from that fitna. The moment they get fitna, they're lost. No matter 16, they're lost. 17, they're lost. I'll give you an example. Eczema. People have eczema, and then you say that what causes eczema to get worse? It's a dusty environment. So what some parents started to do is that they made their house completely free of dust. So they got laminated, wood on the floor. They made sure that they got no sort of curtains. They've only got blinds. They don't want dust in anything. Leather sofas, so they can just clean them up, and they made it dust free. Then there's created another problem, because once these children go into another house where there is dust, they get attacked worse than what would have happened. So they say you should leave a little bit of dust around, because the immune system starts to get stronger. Now what I'm trying to say to you is that there is fitna outside. I tell you one thing, the kids that will grow up to be good individuals, it's got more to do with your house and more to do with a good teacher or teachers, and more to do with a good Islamic environment, whether that is in a small madrasa in the evening or weekends, or whether that is a teacher that is in their lives. I'm not talking about private tutor that comes and goes, no. I'm talking about someone they can refer to, someone they can open up to, whether that's you as parents that actually talk to them. I'll tell you one thing about me. I grew up in a complete, I went through the secular system. But I had my mother at home where I opened to her, and I said, Mom, I heard this question about Islam, and I heard that question about Islam, and what about this? And my mum used to sit there and explain things to me. I had good teachers when I was later on in life. I had good teachers, and once you have those role models, you can change. Although you've been in a normal state school. Now again, what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter whether your children are in state schools or Islamic schools. I'm not here to debate that. I'm saying to you, there's pros and cons. Now once they get to a certain age, to 16, 17, 18, the best you're going to do is take your children back home for a holiday. You will not take them ever back. They will never ever settle back. Never. Just write this down now. 100% of your children, more, or I could probably say 99.9%. Somebody might pull something out, right? So 99.9% of your children will never ever settle in Afghanistan, in Yemen, in Egypt, in Somalia, in Pakistan, wherever, Bangladesh. They will never ever settle. At best, they will go there for a holiday. They know the language a little bit. They've got aunts and uncles there. Hello, hi, bye, whatever. Come back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That's it. It's like Papa said we have to go holiday, but I'd rather be with my PS4. I'd rather be with my PlayStation 4. I'd rather be with my Xbox at home. I'd rather be with a stronger Wi-Fi connection. Do you guys understand? The internet was so bad over there, it spoiled everything. That's how they will think. Anyway, they will never settle there. They're here now. Now, you know what? When it comes to the big choices in their lives, my brothers, my sisters, I want you to understand, you have experience, yes, but you must also look at the younger generation, what they are. If you wanted, and if you want your child to marry a Pakistani, or marry an Afghani, or marry a Yemeni, wherever they are, then please make sure that up until the age of 24, you put inside them enough love of Yemen or Pakistan or Afghanistan or Bangladesh, enough stuff inside there that they really wish that their dream is going to be that Afghani woman. If you don't instill that inside them for 24 years, the only thing that happened in their lives is that they've got an Afghani dad, Afghani mom, Afghani food, Afghani culture, Afghani, brotherly and the culture. They see all of that. They speak half Afghani. They speak watered down Afghani, right? So I don't know if you've seen people with language, right? So a person speaking Urdu will say, "Ha, kaise hai? Theek ho? Kharit se?" That's how a person in Urdu will speak. And a person who's born and brought up in Britain will say, Britain will say, "Aap kaise hai? Aap theek hai?" Right? And then the next generation will say, "Aap, how are you? Aap good?" The amount of English words that have entered into the languages of our cultures is amazing, huh? Amazing how many. You hear even the news, मैं आपसे पूछती हूँ कि what is the problem of that? Half of it is English, ARY and all these channels, half of it English, then I switch to Urdu. I'm thinking, man, is this Urdu English? What is it, right? So anyway, what I'm trying to say is it's watered, it's diluted. When it gets to that level that is diluted, their mindset, you have to understand, their mindset is British. If you want them to be that that kind, then please make sure you put enough of that in their lives that they fully wish that they were Afghani, proper Afghani, and not half Afghani and half British. And the reason why I'm saying that to you guys, please, this is a very serious thing, is that these boys and these girls will come one day to you and they'll disappoint you very, very badly, because your dream was that they will listen to you, to who you want them to get married to, and what kind of lives you want them to live. But you can't suddenly put on brakes in their lives. You think about it. British born, British grown up, British schools, right? British friends, the whole culture, everything is all British. The only thing was, the masjid and your culture was a part-time for them. Full-time for them probably was their phone, their internet, their Instagram, their WhatsApp. Full-time was English language. Full-time was his friends. Full-time was probably music and other stuff. Full-time was all this other stuff. And part-time was, Quran. Now, if you made full-time Quran and part-time something else, it's different. Okay, I'm not talking to everybody here. I want you to understand this, that you've got to understand what kind of child you've raised up. If you want to raise up that type of child that is going to listen to who you think they should get married to and what kind of life they should lead, then fine. You better have led that life for them for the last 24 years or 22 years. Big mistake a lot of people make is that when they send their children to university for 4 years, you think that they're going to come back. Subhanallah, my son's going to come back after 4 years with a nice certificate, and I'm going to post that, put that on my wall. I'm going to invite all my friends here, and we're going to celebrate the fact that my child has got a degree. What you didn't see is that your child was out there in a free world for 4 years in a dorma with students that are like him, 22, 23, 21 years old, who basically have no morals or have some morals, but they lose it on Saturday night. They bring their bottles out, they all drink, they have bacon inside the fridge, and this your son of yours has to live with them. On Friday night, Saturday night, they're running semi-naked in the dorma. Your child first is astaghfirullah, 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 and after a little while he said, inshallah, inshallah, inshallah. That's what you never saw. So for 1 year, your child tried to stay away from it. Then after that, he got into a relationship, got into some of their drinking, got into probably some of the drugs that they're giving around and so on. A little bit of light drugs, whatever. Went out Saturday, nice day, went in the pub. He went along with them in the pub and so on. And just first time drinking a little bit of juice. Next time, associating with them, bit of alcohol fault. First time it's like guilty. Let me wipe that off. Let me quickly wipe that off. Next time it's like, oh, alcohol felt, doesn't matter. I'll wash it later on. Salah's gone, this and that. Ramadan comes, fasting is too hard. I got too many exams and so on. They miss all of that. After 4 years to come back, they are completely changed. They're not the same children you sent them. They come back with your degree, with your certificate, and you say, mashallah, and you hug them and all that. And next thing you say, now I have to find you a good Pakistani wife. And he's thinking, ho, those days are gone. You can do what you want now. I'm changed, I'm gone. I'm no longer the child that you have to, you put in your house, and you tell me I can't eat when I want to eat something. You tell me I can't go out when I don't want to go out. I've had 4 years of a free life. I'm a free man. I'm a grown adult. This country gives me this right, that right. First I got certain rights at the age of 18, then I got rights at the age of 21. Now I'm 22, 23. I sit in your house. I eat from your table, I use your hot shower, I have a lovely mattress which you've provided, I have loads of time on my hands. The phone that I have was given to me as a birthday present from you, and I am going to enjoy my life, stretch my arms, and at the same time, I'm not going to listen to you. Now, how did that happen? It happened because you lost control. These are young people who can be easily lost at times. My thing is, guys, I want you to understand, if you're going to send your children away for 4 years without any supervision to some place up in the UK somewhere, I will tell you, be very, very careful. I've had many stories related back to me how some of these kids have come back. Some even lost their iman. Some lost I'm not saying don't send them. If you send them, make sure that you do your best to try and give them the taqwa from beforehand, or you keep in close contact with them, and you are still a person who's a father or a mother who's got that, control by saying that, son, you're going to do this, and they'll do it. Some children, alhamdulillah, they go away, they come back and they're fine. You know why? Because the first 16 years, 18 years with the parents was so strong, with the family bond, with good contact, with that ustad I said, with that upbringing of a madrasa, good madrasa, with good parenting, with good connection with their teachers and so on, with them being open about, their doubts about Islam, with them being open about whatever kufr that has come their way. And what happens is, by the time they get to university, you know what? They think, I don't want to do that. Mashallah, there are good Muslim students that will do that. I've had stories like that. They've got opportunity of sinning inside the university. I went to, La ilaha illallah, maybe we'll do salat. I went to New York, and La ilaha illallah, over there they have a count on the head of how, the students there in a New York college, they say, what's your count? You know what that means? That means what's your count of amount of women that you've slept with? And they have a count. And there's one friend there over there, he said that, he's 29 years old. Okay, when he was in university at 23, 24, they asked him, what's your count? And he says 0. And they were like, you still haven't, your count is 0? Some of them said, look, I'll offer myself just to get you over the other side to start counting. He said, astaghfirullah, I'm not going to do that. Now you've got to understand, this is the world that the children are growing up in, and let's be honest with ourselves. We have to understand them, we have to be equipped, we have to give them taqwa. That's my thing. Taqwa, now a few things I'm saying to you. When they grow up, a good Islamic home with good parenting. If you want your culture to be there at 25, 30, then make sure you put a lot of it as they're growing up. Next thing is make sure that they have a good bond with the parents, spend time with them. Next thing is a good teacher or a good madrasa, a good place where they can, they can bring out of them their whatever is in them, so that the Islam can be replaced with it. And then as they're growing up, when they go up, then you remember the king, when the shoes are there, when they have got their own taqwa, good upbringing, inshallah, you will not lose them, they will be yours. Jazakumullah khair wa